All right, here we go. It's March 18th, and welcome to the worldwide lockdown.
Yep.
How are you
I
doing, Allie?
I'm doing great. I feel like this is probably not the venue to say this, but my roommate is a nurse, and she had a top level meeting, and they told her that Britain is now using drones to monitor people on the streets. And
Yeah,
I said, well, this is a new world order orchestrated strike. I mean, to me, it's past government, and so it begins, baby.
yeah,
Can I jump off on that also?
Yeah.
sure.
The Chinese started doing that 30 days ago, and they have little speakers on their drones, and they actually chase people down and tell people, go home, get off the street.
Yeah,
And they've been doing that.
that's crazy.
That started in Wuhan, and then it spread to other cities. I'm not sure if it's in Shanghai yet, but they are doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't remember where I saw it, but I saw a video clip of that going on. That was pretty crazy.
so I feel like this is a wake-up call for humanity. We need to band together and not allow this to happen. I don't know how it gets done, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of up in the air whether it's a good thing in one aspect, and as I think as Americans, we prize our freedom, and it's been a long time since we didn't have it, so might give us a whole new level of respect for what we just have as a day-to-day thing and take for granted.
Right. Well, I don't think we've never not had our freedom. So
Yes, during World War II,
Yeah,
people don't realize how bad it really was. But World
yeah.
War II was pretty bad.
sorry, I
Vietnam
don't
wasn't
remember
so
that.
bad.
I wasn't alive. My father's
No.
gone, so
My dad related. But the reality is, what happened to Venezuela 6 months ago, where they had empty store shelves, it's here in LA County. We just went shopping Sunday, a ton of empty shelves. Again, I went this morning. Nothing has really changed. They still have a ton of empty shelves.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
But my question to you for the jump off point, sir,
Yeah,
how are we going to utilize this as an advantage in our business? And take it away.
that's a great question, and that's a great topic for this call, because everything like in business always changes, and a good entrepreneur, a good business person understands that and leverages and takes advantage of trends, whether it's in the world or their market or their backyard. And where there's I think the saying is, where there's adversity there's opportunity, and this, I think, is definitely some adversity, that there's no doubt about it. And we just have to kind of look at what is the opportunity that has come out of this. And one of the opportunities that I see that, for me, I was probably well ahead of the curve, ahead of a lot of people, is the majority of my business is online anyway. So I don't, like, my business is not reliant upon me ever leaving my house. I've talked about that for a long time. It doesn't matter. I could be on a cruise ship, I could be in Hawaii, I could be anywhere in the world and still do what I do as long as I have an internet connection. Now, if we lose electricity, then I'm kind of screwed. I'm gonna have to really go back to the drawing board on that.
generator.
Yeah. But for the time being, I'm in pretty good shape. And that's one of the things I wanted to share with you guys is, a lot of you that have been following me, that's your goal too, is to get in the same shape that I am as far as doing business online, being able to, produce sales out of the internet. And I was going to say out of thin air, but maybe the internet, that might be considered thin air. I remember when I first started, we called it building websites, we called it virtual real estate. And that's really what it is. A real estate is like the space on a server, and houses are being built on there. That's websites are equated to virtual houses, hotels, you know, big ones are hotels, communities, all that. So, you know, virtual real estate, another example, you don't have to go out into the world to make value for people that people will pay for. You know, sure, there's a lot of things that, yeah, you got to go out in the world to get, and that's a different thing, but that business could easily be provided by someone else. You don't have to be doing that to create a you know, a good living and a good life for yourself. So a lot of the things that most of us do can definitely be provided online. And, you know, internet services, I get this a lot when somebody comes to me and they've never really had an experience with business or what have you. They're not really equipped to manufacture things or you know, go into big business, so to speak. But I say there's a lot of opportunity for providing services. You know, services are easy to provide online. There's a gazillion businesses out there all over the world that need things done that you can do from your computer. You know, that's virtual assistants. There's a ton of different things. You know, there's where money is made is in filling gaps. You know, business is all about buy and sell, provide and get paid. And there's, you know, if you look at just about any business owner, a successful business owner doesn't do everything themselves. In fact, what I see is the more successful they are, probably the less they do physically. They have other people that do what they're good at. Because, you know, we can't be good at everything. I think the more things that we diversify ourselves in, we might be good at a lot of things, but maybe not great at any one. You know, that's almost become a cliche throughout history. So in that aspect, there's a lot of really good business people and they get things done. So if you can provide that, that's what, you know, there's a lot of money to be made for that. So anyway, Jim says, let's hear it for freedom. Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously.
Financial, geographic, and time. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we don't have the geographic freedom right now. We're kind of confined to our houses. But we can still have our time and our financial freedom. So anyway, yeah, go ahead, Allie.
I wanted to know, you know, we're going to be on the funnel, taking the funnel class, and I wanted to know how to prepare for that because it's a little bit ahead of us, because we were actually going to ask you about how to develop our avatar. I've been watching all the videos on ACT, and so has Woody, and so we were more focused on next week being with you, but so we're going to jump in and participate. But I just thought if you could give us any heads up on how to at least be present to get the most out of it, that would be great.
Sure. The one of the things I'm going to talk about tomorrow and Friday with the funnel camp is the whole premise of what a funnel is. There's two real big components to it. If you split it down the middle, it's the content and then it's the delivery. And everybody generally focuses on the delivery and not the content. So what you could prepare for, if you wanted to kind of prepare for that, really would be the content part. And that's like the first piece of ACT, the analysis, figuring out who it is that you want to target with any given funnel. Because think about a funnel as a very narrow focused thing. It's a sales process for a particular person. So like when you're going through analysis, you know, what you're doing is you're segmenting your market first to figure out what the most profitable segment is. And then out of that segment, you're figuring out who's the person in here. Who am I really talking to? Because you don't want to You don't want to create a sales process around selling to a market, because markets don't buy stuff. People buy stuff. So you have to figure out who's the person in there. And that's the whole key to the analysis piece, is figuring out who are we targeting, why do they want us, what's important about what we're offering to them, not what's important to us about it, but what's important to them about it. What's their problem? Why do they want this thing? All of that. Because when you go into creation, when you take yourself out of analysis, you get in there, you get all the stuff that you need, and then you move to creation. Creation is still prior to the funnel part, the part where it's the delivery system. You still have to create all the messaging. And then the funnel, like Kartra, for instance, Kartra is just a tool to help you deliver your message.
Yeah,
So when
I didn't say we didn't enroll in Kartra yet, because I thought it was
Okay.
before the horse. I wanted to ask you about that. I'm sure everybody else on the call is ahead of us, but
Yeah, it may be for you particularly, but I gave a little trick in there. If you guys want to get in and start your Kartra account, I gave you a little trick where you can get a 30-day trial for $1.
yeah,
So
I saw that.
that might help for people that aren't quite ready. It'll give you a month runway to get up to speed.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you thought we should take advantage of that or wait, because we are
Well,
we're still trying to, obviously I'm still watching the videos, and we haven't done act part 1 yet, but
yeah.
we're
It kind of depends how fast you want to move.
well, he
Like,
wants to launch in 99 days on June 19th, 2020, which is a Friday.
okay, so that's certainly a doable time frame for sure. Now there's going to be another funnel camp. Keep that in mind. We're going to do another one here coming up.
Oh, good.
So you could use this one just as a precursor, just to prepare, go into the base unit, where we do the fast track. The fast track's really going to give you your foundation, gets you ready for the funnel build process. And then once the funnel build process is up, then we move into the traffic part. So it's definitely not going to hurt you. One of the things that we are going to do in the funnel camp tomorrow is go through the process of getting the account set up properly. Getting your emails set up, getting your payment gateways set up, getting your custom domains set up with it, so it's all ready to operate. If you're not ready for that, then you could probably wait for the next one. So whether you get it or not doesn't matter. You'll get a really good walkthrough, and you'll learn how to do all the stuff, whether you're doing it with us or you do it next week or next month or next year.
Okay, well, we're planning on attending, so that's what I figured. It would be
Yeah.
like a be quiet and observe, like listen and learn.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really cool process, because I'm going to go through the different types of funnels too. There's a lot of different types of funnels. And, a funnel really, it's just, it's a sales process. It's really all it is. Well, even if you're just lead generating, if you think about it, that's a sales process too. Because when you're generating a lead, generally you're giving them something of value to get their email address. And that is a sale, even though there's money not transacted. Because you're asking for something of value, they're giving you something. It's an exchange of value. It just doesn't have to do with dollars. But that kind of goes back to the fact that it's still a sales process. If you want someone to do something, you're going to have to convince them why, and ask them in a way to get them to actually comply and do it. Same thing with a sale. If you want to make a sale, you have to convince them of the value, create their desire to want whatever it is that you're selling them, eliminate any objections, and then make an offer. It's the same thing for a lead. It's just like I said, you're not asking for dollars yet. So it's a smaller ask, a much more bite-sized way to move the ball forward. And that's one of the keys to sales success, is getting people moving in a direction toward something. It's like when you see speakers on stage, they're always getting the audience to say yes. Well, the reason that they're doing that is if they say yes enough times, they're trained, and that becomes the natural flow off their tongue. So guess what happens when you ask them if they're ready to order? They say yes, because they're hypnotically trained to it. So, and again, it's moving them in a direction toward an outcome that the person on the sales side wants. You know, if you're in business, your goal is to get a sale. Your goal is to generate revenue, generate leads, turn those leads into customers. So that's all in a general direction toward convincing someone to purchase what you have, whether it's a product, a service, whatever. So, and that's a funnel. You know, what works in the real world, you can automate very easily into an electronic marketing funnel. And, you know, real close to the topic of today, you know, with us being confined to our houses, if you get effective at that, you can do business where your income doesn't have to suffer just because you can't leave the house. Your message can still be delivered. People can still go through the process. That can happen without face-to-face human interaction. And for us, you know, we have an advantage. We've lived in the real world for a long time, and we got to observe what works out there. And if you take like modeling, it's interesting. Just a couple hours ago, I was interviewed by Jay Williams, he's an NLP guy, and he's doing a new training on modeling, how you model people's success. And he did it specifically on me, on how I come up with the big ideas for clients. And he's trying to model my process. And we're gonna actually, when it's done, we're actually gonna have that training as a piece of the ACT program. So it will help people to create their big ideas. Because one of the things that I've recognized is a lot of people have trouble when it comes to the big idea, and that comes really easy to me. And Jay is trying to figure out what it is. How do we model that so we can take the modeling and be able to transfer it and let you guys model me much more effectively. And the big idea is just the start. Once we get that piece in, then we're going to model each and every piece of what I do so you guys can get the benefit of it. So it's a really cool project. I was excited when, you know, when we talked about it, and we actually created that whole thing out of thin air. Jay has taught NLP and Master Prac and all that stuff for a long time, but he said it's always been taught in the same way, and he thinks from his side, he doesn't think it's very effective. Yeah, it gets results, but he doesn't see it as being taught at a level where it really needs to be taught. And that's where this is going to be a completely new training for him. And I think he's going to do really well with it. I think it's going to be awesome, because every time somebody gets into something like a skill set, they always want to advance that and get the advantage of being cutting edge. And that's what he's doing. He's creating cutting edge training and technology for the NLP world, for advanced modeling systems on modeling success, which that's what we all want, right? Nobody wants to get in business to be a failure. You know, they want success, they want it easy, and the easiest way to do that is to model someone that's successful. The problem has been there hasn't really been an effective methodology to do it. You know, we all say it. You've heard Tony Robbins say it a million times. He says, you know, if you want what somebody's got, you got to do what they do. The problem is people are doing things on a subconscious level that they're not even aware of. Like if you know, a couple of weeks ago, this is when Jay me and Jay put this together. I was doing a big idea for him, and he was really struggling with it. And this is a guy that's, you know, pretty intelligent. He's an NLP trainer, So words should be his thing, right? And he was having a lot of trouble coming up with the big idea. And when he saw how easy it was for me, he's like, wow. He goes, how do you do that? And, you know, my answer was, oh, I didn't just do it. I couldn't explain it. So that's the whole premise behind that, is unraveling what exactly was my procedure, my process, so we can package it up and translate it and transplant that skill set into someone else. So pretty cool stuff. Anyway, I'm may have got off track or offline there. What was the question we were addressing? Maybe I can get back on track.
It was the question of how do we adjust to the new working models of what we're doing here in SEO and our individual projects, such as mine with options trading and the others with their own individual stuff.
Gotcha. Thank you, Gregory. So pull my reins back in. So really, you know, the whole point of that is to take what you know how to do in the real world and package it up electronically and put it into a funnel. And basically take your business from the real world to the virtual world. And I did that a long time ago. You know, before the internet, I always worked in the real world. I worked with people face to face. That's all I knew. That's all that was available to me. When I got into the virtual world, it was truly like a whole new world. And that's what, you know, some of you may not have experienced that yet. It's a really cool thing. It's a cool thing to be able to come up with an idea and put something together as far as a digital offer and see it sell. It's a really cool thing. Like, you don't even have to come up with the stuff. You can find people. This is another thing too. If you are, let's say your world just fell apart. Let's say you made all your money in the real world and it's gone, like it might be right now. That might be a possibility, right? Let's say that happened and you were sitting here and you go, my God, I don't have anything to sell. What you have is you have the ACT program, which teaches you the skill set of how to sell something even though you don't have something to sell. I guarantee you that skill set is worth more than you can imagine. You can take that skill set, you can find someone else that has created something that's great, that people need, but they don't know how to sell it. The world is full of those people. They would love for you to help them. Remember, I was talking about supplying services. So you've probably heard of affiliate programs. A lot of people make a lot of money being affiliates. Those affiliates are exactly what I'm talking about. Those people have a skill set of how to sell something. So they will go, they'll find somebody that's got a product they want to sell, and they feel good about it, they get behind it, they create a marketing program to sell that product. It's not even their product, but they're going to help sell that product into a marketplace and they're going to get paid a commission. That's called an affiliate commission. Some people will give enormous affiliate commissions, especially if it's digital stuff. Like anybody that sells my stuff, I generally give them 50%. I'll give them a half split. You know, and some people, you know, they say, well, you're crazy. I've given up to 75%. Like, I'll take 25%. It's my thing. And I'm only getting 25%. And the salesperson's getting 75%. Some people have told me I'm crazy. Well, really? Am I crazy? I don't think so. Because I've got something I'm sitting on that is a virtual thing. It costs me nothing. If somebody buys it, it's pure profit. Now, if I have somebody that has an audience they can move that to, that I didn't have, those are sales that I'm going to get today that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So basically, they're just putting money in my bank account. Am I crazy for doing that? even if they don't do a lot, if I have a bunch of them doing it, am I crazy? I don't think so. So there are people out there that will pay you a lot of money to put money in their bank accounts because it makes sense. Now, I get if you're selling an item that costs you $10 and you're selling it for 15, you can't give away 75%. That math doesn't work. You only have 30% or so to play with there. So you're splitting 30% of the total sales price. So, you know, maybe give away 75% of that, but you can't give away, you know, you can't, the math has to work. You can only split profits, right? So the cool thing about the digital world is a lot of it is it's a zero cost game. Like once I created the ACT program, it's a bunch of videos, it is some tutorials, it's some PDFs, it's all sitting on my desktop. It doesn't really cost me anything. When a new person comes and says, I'd like to buy that, I don't have to run out and buy stuff. I just give them the link and they download it, right? There's no cost to me. Yes, I had a cost to develop it, but now that it's up and running, there's no cost. So if somebody came to me and they said, yeah, I've got somebody that wants your product, you don't know who they are, but I do. Would you be willing to give me 75% if I bring them to you and they buy it? I would say, hell yeah, bring me 5 of them, bring me 10, bring me all you've got. Because that puts money in my bank account and it costs me nothing and not even time. If you have it done in an electronic format, it doesn't even take me time. So it's all self-serving. So if you find people that have done what I've done, they've created electronic digital deliverable stuff, they're likely to give you 50 to 75% of the sales. That's really good money, and all you have to do is figure out how to market it. And in a lot of cases, it's just like you've probably heard the term middleman. You know, and if an affiliate marketer is a middleman, he's finding a buyer and a seller, and he's getting in the middle and he's taking a cut. There has been fortunes made in this country and all over the world, in fact, from middlemen. Middlemen have made fortunes not creating a single thing. All they do is they put together buyers and sellers and they take a cut in the middle. Can you do that from home? I think you can. I know you can. I'm doing it right now. So oftentimes I will find a product like in my business, right? I provide services for people. I provide SEO services. I provide web development services. When I come across something that helps me in my business, like let's say SEMrush, I'll use SEMrush as an example. That's a tool that's invaluable to me in my business. I use it every day. It gives me an inside glimpse of intel on any website. Like I can do a consult with a new client, and in about 3 seconds, I know everything I need to know to talk intelligently to that client and position myself as an expert like they've never talked to before. That's pretty valuable. That's a program called SEMrush that I use. So for me, I have a database of prospects that I've worked with for years. New ones come on all the time. That's my audience. So what I do is I take something that I've found that's highly valuable. It's not mine. It's SEMrush. I go over, I sign up for their affiliate program. I say, hey guys, I have an audience that would love this. How much will you pay me to bring them to you? And they say, you know, we'll give you 40%, for instance. I say, great, let's do it. They give me a link, so it's all tracked. Now I go out to my audience and I say, hey guys, I've been using this tool. Here's what I've been doing with it. Here's what it does for me. Here's how I make money with it. If you would like it, I'll connect you. I send out to my list. Maybe I'll do a video, a webinar, whatever. I make the introduction. I pass them over the sales, and I'm the middleman. I make the money in the middle. And in that particular scenario, SEMrush is a monthly service. So I don't just get paid on the first sale. I get paid month after month after month. As long as they use it, I'm getting paid. So if you think about it, I spent a couple hours setting it up. That includes signing up for their affiliate, getting their link, sending my emails out to my group, and doing a simple video webinar talking about what it is, how I use it, why I think it's good for them. And I make money today when people buy it, and I also make money in the future as they use it. It's a pretty good spend of my time. You know, to give you an example, over the last year, SEMrush, every month they'll send me a PayPal payment. You know, and I don't know the exact number, but it's probably to the tune of, in the range of $5,000 over the last year from SEMrush, you know, for a couple hours of my time. That's a pretty good deal, you know. So I didn't have to leave the house. I just found somebody that had something great that I believed in, and I became the middleman. I brought people to them that could use it just like I do. Now, that right there, I only had that opportunity because I built a list. So one of the most important things that you're ever going to do as a digital marketer is build a list and segment the list. So you know you might have 10,000 people on your list, and they might be from all different categories. So segmenting them is very important. You don't want to bring out things to people that are not useful. Like I might need to do I might need to segment my list. Like I've had this is a problem that I had that I didn't know was a problem until I had it. But one time I did a webinar, or basically an invite out to my list for something that was not on topic. It was on topic to a few people on my list, which that was great for them, and they bought it. But over half the list, they didn't care about it. And in fact, they were somewhat offended that I even wasted their time with it. And they opted out of the list. So it hurt my list. The bigger my list is, the more money I can make from it in the future. So you want to be careful about that. That's a reason why you want to segment your list. So if you have an offer, send the offer out only to the segment that it's going to be useful to. That will benefit you. Don't get greedy. Be useful. The more useful you are, the more you will make. So, and again, I want you guys to know, if you ever have questions, I see some of them in the chat box there, but feel free. If you unmute, I see it, and you're welcome to come out and ask questions anytime you want. Another opportunity for you guys. This shift is happening. People are getting forced to do work online. So things like Zoom, if you become an affiliate of Zoom, Zoom will pay you. They have a different kind of an affiliate program. They don't pay you in cash. They pay you in gift cards. But still, those gift cards are usable. It's like cash. If you're going to buy something, you could use a gift card for it just like cash. It's like that Aflac commercial, just like cash money. But another one that's really good is Kartra. I use Kartra. You guys know I've been touting it for the last 2 years since I started. And yesterday, I got a PayPal payment of, I think it was almost $800. I didn't expect it. It just, boom, here's an email. Hey, you got a Kartra payment. You have a PayPal payment from Kartra. It was almost $800. You know, you get enough of those things coming in on a regular basis, and now all of a sudden you don't have to worry if you cover your bills. You know, it just comes in, and it's because of a skill set that you have. And that skill set is how to be a middleman, how to market other people's products, even if you don't have your own. So there's no reason for anybody to feel like they have no opportunity. You know, there's no excuses. You can't say, well, I don't have anything to sell. Bullshit. There's plenty of stuff out there to sell. You can't say, I don't know how to sell it, because you guys have the ACT program. So I call bullshit again. So those are the two pieces that you need. You need to have stuff to sell and know how to sell it. And everybody on here has those two things at their disposal. So, you know, as far as the, you know, the topic of what do we do when the sky is falling, that's what I would recommend. If you have your own stuff, awesome. In fact, if you have your own stuff and, you know, maybe you don't like the selling process, put yourself out there and invite affiliates to sell your stuff for you. Again, you know, business owners have problems that they are willing to pay to have solved. Biggest one I see across the board is most everybody has great stuff. They either don't know how to sell it or they don't want to sell it. So that's a big gap that we can all fill with the skill set that we have from using the ACT program. So questions? You guys have any specific questions about that? Sometimes I feel like I just ramble on here. I want to know, you know, what's important to you. If I'm going to ramble, I at least want to ramble something that you want to hear.
I guess I would like to know how to develop or figure out how to get our avatar sorted out, because
Okay.
I'm up to I'm still on step 1. I'm at the last group of category. I'm at the step 1 analysis, competitor analysis discussion, and then I have the rest of those videos to watch. But Woody and I are trying to use the work to develop our avatar, and I had a lot of questions around that, so I figured I'd ask you.
Anything specific, or you want me to just go through the?
Yeah, when I was listening to the avatar videos, as you did the coaching, one of my questions is, are we presuming, or who do they believe they are? You said one of the questions was, who do they believe they are? There were a lot of questions like prospect awareness and avatar development. You use Bob and Jane, and then analysis when we make notes about what does my avatar want to be or do, is it my idea or actual facts? Like, I'm not sure how to research and answer those questions.
Okay, sure. No, that's a great question. And the answer to it is there's not a specific answer to it. There's a lot of ways to get that intel. One of the ways that you can get it is through observation. You can observe people in the market, and you can kind of glean a lot of that just intuitively. Another way is just to ask them.
All right, but John, how would I observe the market? Where would I observe the market? And
when I say
ask?
Yeah, when I say the market, I'm talking really about the avatar themselves, the people in the market. Like for an ad agency, this is the perfect example of an ad agency, because they're going to have the same thing. They have to do this work, and they have to do it some way. One of the ways that they'll do it is they'll do it through focus groups, where they will kind of get a pool of prospects that they feel is the right avatar, and they'll bring them in, and they'll ask them questions. They'll have them fill out surveys. They'll physically poll the actual audience to get that information.
John, wasn't there an app we used to say something monkey or survey monkey or something?
Yeah, Survey Monkey. If you've got a list, like an email list of people, you can send a Survey Monkey survey out to them to ask them these questions, certainly. But another way to do it is to look at trending information. Like there's a couple of tools that I talk about in there, like Google Trends is a free tool that you can put keywords in related to a market or related to a segment, and you can see what content is trending. That can give you some insight. You can also do keyword research and see what people are searching for. That could give you some insight. In a lot of cases, if you're doing this for yourself, this is something that I've found to be kind of true in a lot of cases. If you're in a market, you're probably in there for a particular reason. And a lot of times, they say necessity is the mother of invention. Most people that have products, they develop the product to solve a problem they had themselves. So if that's the case, if that's you or that's your customer, what happens is they are the ideal prospect. So you can pull a lot of information out of that one person, even if that person is you. You just have to ask the right questions of yourself. And think about this as far as timeline. If you are, let's say you're the prospect or you're the ideal customer.
Well, like for example, in our case, it would be Woody, because it's his movement. Enjoy your joy, crippled no more. He's the ideal. So what do we do? Pick his brain?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll tell you how you do it. You want to be careful you do it the right way. So with Woody, he had the problem originally.
By the way, I'm just letting you know, he's listening on my phone because we couldn't get him on the live link. So he's listening.
Perfect. That's awesome. So Woody is a perfect example here.
Woody, you can say hi. I'm off mute.
Hey, Woody.
I love you, John. I love you.
All right. I love you too. So in Woody's case, he had some disabilities, and that caused a lot of pain for him where he was in his life. He overcame it. And now he's going to form a movement to help people move out of the pain they're in that he was in at one time. And he's going to be the leader, the guru. He's going to lead them to the promised land. So when you're asking Woody about these questions, you want to make sure that you take him and you transport him back in time to the time when he had the problem. Don't ask him how he feels today. Say, when you were in the situation that your ideal customers are in now, what were you hearing? How were you feeling? What were people saying to you? How did you feel about it? You need to get back to that point, because when you create your messaging for your avatar, you have to understand where they are, not where you are. Like if you're the one that you are your ideal client at one time, go back to that time.
So you go back to the pain point.
Yes, go back to before they had the solution. How did they feel about it then?
Before the breakthrough.
Yes, that's a key component. Like for a...
I'd be in despair, and I was ready to kill myself.
Yeah, see, and you're not there anymore, right? That's not part of your current situation.
No, I had an incredible transformational breakthrough, and it's changed everything in my life. By victory over racism. It just opened every door of humanity for me.
Yeah, so that's the thing that's going to draw people toward you. So as you're creating your marketing campaign, that's going to be part of the thing where you're going to create demand and desire, because they're in a spot where they don't want to be. And if you can associate with them with your story, you can say, yeah, I was just like you. And by the way you're saying that, they get it because you're speaking their language. That's the whole key to identifying an avatar, is so you can understand their language and you can speak their language. So that's why you've got to do that. Like with an ad agency, that's what they'll do. They are very picky about who they'll bring into a focus group. They have to know that the people in the focus group are the right people to ask those questions of. Like they don't bring people into the prospect group that have already solved the problem. They bring the people into the prospect group that are having the problem because they want to know how to market to those people. Much more effective to market something to somebody that needs something than somebody that's already overcome a problem, right? So that's, you know, there's ways to gather that information by observing what people are typing in with keyword research. There's ways by speaking to them, but make sure that if you're gathering that information, be careful who you ask. Like, this is a problem I see in the mastermind groups that are out there, is you'll go in there and you'll try and get this information out of a mastermind group that's not your ideal audience. And they're going to give you great information, but it's not pertinent to your avatar. So what happens is you start creating messaging around the information that you gathered out of the mastermind group, and you create messaging for that, and you have a disconnect there. You have a mismatch of your audience and your message. When you're creating your messaging, you have to create your messaging for your audience that's going to pay you, not a group of people that are in a mastermind group that are not your audience. The mastermind groups can give you incredible information.
A bunch of rabbis. No one's buying.
Say that again.
They said it's like trying to sell the ham to a bunch of rabbis. No one's buying it. No, it's not the right audience.
He said it's like trying to sell ham to a bunch of rabbis. Nobody's buying it.
Exactly.
Wrong audience.
That's yeah. Woody's got this figured out. He understands. And that's, you know, sometimes that's the problem when you ask the wrong questions of the right audience. You know, the mastermind groups are brilliant because they have a lot of people in them with experience, but make sure you're asking the right questions of the right people for the right reasons. Like, don't pull your mastermind group to get data about your avatar if they're not your avatar. You've got to get the right information from the right sources, because that piece, that creating messaging for your audience, I don't know if you guys get how important that is. That's why we spend half of our time in the analysis piece before we move to creation, to make sure we don't have a disconnect there with our language. Because if you create a funnel, remember the funnel is just the shell that delivers your message. If you create the wrong message and you put it into a Kartra funnel and it doesn't work, and I swear to God, I've heard people say this, Kartra doesn't work. I put a Kartra funnel together and I didn't get any sales. I'm like, really? And then, and it's, I guarantee you, if you've got problems in your sales process, it's going to land in one of three buckets. It's either going to land in the market not being right, it's going to land in the messaging not being right for the market, or it's going to land in the traffic bucket not driving that message to the right market. I can almost guarantee you your sales problems live in one or more of those three buckets. So, and that's why ACT is so specific. There's three pieces to it. The first piece is the market, the second piece is the message, and the third piece is the traffic. And, you know, I didn't develop this. I don't want you guys to think that I'm some brilliant, you know, mastermind maniac that came up with this. I just observed this process. I've seen it going on for over 100 years in the ad agencies. If you look at Dan Kennedy, a lot of Dan Kennedy followers out there, he says the same exact thing. You know,
only in a way more obnoxious way.
Exactly. Yeah, you got that one. You nailed that one right on the head.
Cannot listen to that man.
but it's the same message, and it's because it's the truth. It is, you know, the deliverer. One of the things about Dan, uh, and it's interesting that you said that. I was sitting down at a lunch with Dan one time, and there was men and there was women at the table, and when the men would ask him a question, he was very cordial.
Yeah, he's a misogynist a-hole.
Yeah, when the women asked him the same question, he just treated them like dirt. I'm like, wow, that is, you know, that was an observation that I made, and I'm like, this guy's a woman hater.
Yeah, that's really true.
That
And
was
most of
my,
his clients are men, and men love him.
yeah, yeah. So that's another thing, and that's a perfect example. He knows that he identified men as his ideal audience, and he caters his message to them. Now think about how that could work to your advantage. If you didn't like women, let's just you know, throw something out there that's ludicrous. Let's say you didn't like women and you didn't want to work with women. You might create messaging like Dan did. Because what happens is it draws in your ideal person and it repels the ones you don't want. And Allie's a testimony to that. He did exactly that. I know a lot of women that are just, they can't stand him. And he's been, I don't even know if he knows this or not. I'm sure he does. He's a pretty sharp guy. But he probably identified, hey, I don't like working with women. You know, me on the other hand, I have no problem with women. I love working with women. So, and I know when I'm working with a woman, I know I have to change my messaging. I have to be a little softer. I have to do things a little differently, and I'm totally fine with that. I love that. So, you know, and you just need to think about this in your business. Who do you really like to work with? If you don't like to work with, you know, a gender, then figure out the gender you do like and focus on their language, because it will really repel the rest. Now, that brings up an interesting concept of, hey, I want to work with both men and women. I don't have a problem. I love them all, and I want to help the world. That can create a problem in itself, because when you don't focus on a particular avatar, then you can never speak their language. And literally, this goes to the fact that there are men and women on the planet. So let's say, like in Woody's case, he's got women with disabilities and he's got men with disabilities. He doesn't have to decide, I want to cater to one or the other. He might decide, I want to help them all. That's perfectly fine. But here's the thing. You got to pick one first. Pick the men or the women. It doesn't matter, but pick one and create your messaging, create your funnel, get it working. And once it's working, duplicate it. Like if you've got a man funnel, duplicate the man funnel, put it to the side of the other one. Now you've got two man funnels, and just put a WO on the front of the one on the left. And now you've got a woman and a man funnel. And you go into the woman funnel and you just revise the copy. You just change the messaging to match the female voice, the female ear, because they want to hear different words. They use different language. And this is the same thing. It doesn't have to be male, female. It could be different cultures. You know, if you're dealing with Filipinos, let's say Filipinos were your audience. There are things about their culture that if you speak those languages, you all of a sudden become an insider. You will attract them. They'll say, ah, this guy's just like me. We like people like ourselves. So in a marketing funnel, when you're identifying the avatar, that's why you're doing it. You're doing it so you can create the messaging to attract that person and bond with them. You know, that's why a good salesperson, first thing a good salesperson will do Oh, Woody's got a question? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, John. I love everything that you just said. What if, like our transformational work that we're doing, what if we want to have the Filipino message a little more Catholic sounding than the message that we are working with in America? Meaning the company is marketing to two different funnels. Do you know what I mean, John?
Yes, absolutely. So let's say you've diversified now. You don't just have men and women, you have American men and women, and you have Filipino men and women. So all that means is you've got 4 versions of the same funnel. Does that make sense? So,
I guess what I was saying, John, is do I need to flavor it a little more locally?
Yes.
So that, they're feeling loved and identified as a human being.
Yes, absolutely. That is the whole key. So you will wind up, I can almost guarantee every one of you is going to wind up with more than one avatar. If you come out the gate and you say, I only have one avatar, I'm going to be shocked. The thing is, this is like doing marketing is a skill. And the only way for you to get successful and grow that skill is by having success. And I can almost guarantee you this, you will not get a success if you start out too diversified. If you come out of the gate and you say, I want to appeal to everybody, I can almost guarantee you're going to fail. Because you'll never get the money. Yeah, you'll never get the messaging right. It won't work, and you'll just wear out and you'll throw in the towel. And I don't ever want to see that. That's why I'm so hyper focused on getting people to segment their audience, pick the most profitable one, and let's build a funnel, even if it's a small one, that works, so we can put a success under your belt, and then we can duplicate that. We can do man, we can do woman, we can do Filipino man, Filipino woman, we can do Indian man, Indian woman, because they all speak a different language. And I'm not talking about like their native language, talking about they use different words, which was my point I was leading to. A good salesperson, the first thing he's going to do when he sits down in front of you is he's going to be looking around. He's going to be very observant, trying to figure out what's important to you, what you like, what your hobbies are. He'll look at photographs. If you've got photographs on your wall of your family, he knows by intuitiveness, family's important to you. Like notice like what's behind me on the wall back there. See that big old fish back there? So if a salesperson comes into my office, I can almost guarantee you he is going to make reference to that fish. He's going to make an assumption that, oh, you must like fishing. And the reason he's doing that is he understands that's a language I have. So he wants to connect and form a bond with me, because remember I said we like things that are like us. So if he comes out and he says, that's an awesome fish, congratulations, I've been trying my whole life to catch one of those and I never have. Guess what? He just formed a bond with me. We are part of a brotherhood, of the fishing brotherhood, whatever it is. If you've got pictures of family around you, he's going to start talking about your family. He's going to say, oh, I see your kids. How many kids do you have? I've got this many kids. And he's using a leverage tool to make a connection, a human connection with you, because that's the first step in sales. We buy from people we like. You don't like, Allie is not going to buy something from Dan Kennedy. I guarantee you, she don't like him. So that's the whole premise of this, and that's why the avatar is so important. You've got to know their language. If you don't know their language, this is going to be a real hard game. So it's all just,
Hey, John, how do you feel about like the DISC program or Sherry Banks, Cherry, whatever her name is,
yeah.
bank system? You and I were there with
Uh-huh,
Judy,
yeah.
right? So I still have her bank cards, the 4 personality cards, and I've studied a little bit about DISC, and I find it very helpful, but
Yes, those are all very valid. All of those programs. I don't think there's any one program that answers all the questions.
and what's the other big one? What's the one?
There's the one with the colors.
Yeah,
Yeah, there.
everybody, like it's with 4 letters, NSIF or whatever.
Yeah, there. I've seen probably like 4 or 5 of those different things, and what those are personality assessments.
Oh, here, Jim just said the Myers-Briggs. It's still the DISC system.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what those are. Those are like personality indicators to give you an insight. They give you an insight into who you're talking to. So here's an interesting concept. And this brings up a problem, which is only a problem unless you have a solution. I'm going to give you the solution to it. The problem is online, when you're, well, let me preface it a little bit. When you're face to face, this problem doesn't exist because we can observe what's around you. We know if the person has family pictures. We know if they have a fish behind them. You know, we have an insight into what's important to them by observation. We don't have that luxury on the computer. We don't, when somebody comes to our sales page doesn't have the ability to do that, right? So we have to get over that hurdle. So let's say you've got one web page and you've got 4 avatars. What do you do? And here's what most people do. They try and make the website cater to everyone. And what that does is that caters to no one. And that's why they don't convert. And that's why their website sales suck. They don't get hardly any sales off their website. They only get sales in person. And that's the answer to why that is. That's a big problem. So what you have to do is you have to have your website have an automated way to self-select them to get them to the pages where your language could be for that person. And I use this example all the time. In real estate, you have buyers and sellers as that's your big split right down the middle. Your customer that hits your website, they're either going to be there for buying or for selling. Very rarely they're there for both at the same time. They have top of mind one thing. And if the person there is a buyer, what's important to them? Getting the most house for the least buck, right? So if you start talking about that and the seller shows up, the seller's going to go, oh, hell no, that's not the realtor for me. Now, on the other hand, you switch gears and you start talking about what's important to the seller. What's important to the seller is getting max value for their house. They want to slay it. And as soon as the buyer sees that languaging, they're like, oh no, I'm not working with this realtor. He's got the buyer in his pocket. He's just out to fleece me. So at the end of the day, you took all your prospects and you pushed them off the cliff, one on each side. That's not a good way to do business. A real salesperson that's successful does not do that. They don't work that way. They segment and they speak the right language to the segment they're talking to. So on your website, what I would do in this case, if you were a realtor, I wouldn't talk about anything on the homepage. Nothing. I would have a buy and a sell button, and you got to click one. And when you click it, you've self-segmented. Now I can speak your language. And you can do it more than that. It's often not just one or the other. Like it might not be a buy or a sell. Remember, we have men and women. So if somebody clicks on the buy button, I might have another page that says, oh, are you a male or a female? Now they have to click that. What are they doing? They're doing a survey. I'm creating a survey so I can tailor the information. So they click on, I'm a female. Okay, great. Here's 3 more questions for you. You know, are you, or maybe 2 more questions, you know, are you a single female looking to just, you know, move to a new environment, keep the roof over your kids' heads? Or are you married and trying to grow a family and you're looking for a bigger house? See what I'm doing? I'm getting down to the nitty-gritty of what's important to this person. Who is this avatar, so I can tailor the message to her specifically. And guess what? She's going to love me because I'm speaking her language. I am talking about what's important to her. Now, I'm also talking to what's important to everyone else that hits the site, because I've done the site in a way where I self-segmented it. See the difference between a regular website, which you guys are probably used to, and what I'm talking about? It's a very different animal, and it's an animal that converts. So there you have it in a nutshell.
Thank you.
John,
So-
John, is your, so do you have different landing pages, like for, like, do you do that? Like, if I go to your site, does it appeal to me? And if Woody goes, it appeals to a male, or how does that work?
Ideally, like on my particular site, I train and teach this more than I do it for myself. So my site isn't a perfect example of that, but I think I should probably focus on making it that, since I talk about it so much. But like when I'm working with a client, I'm making sure that they're doing it that way. So like when we're talking to a realtor, we'll make sure they do, you know, buy and sell, and then get them down, you know, down the road. I have a software that I have made available to everyone in the ACT program. And what it is, it's a video software. I call it the interactive sales attendant. And what the software is, it's exactly what we're talking about. It's a way to put a video on your site that self-segments your audience with one video.
Wow.
And again, spank me for being bad. I haven't done it on my own site yet. But I give it to everyone so you can do it.
What is it, John?
It's called the interactive sales attendant.
Oh, okay.
And it's a software, and what it does, it creates videos for you, and the video goes something like this. Welcome to my website. Let me ask you a question. And then it pops up the 2 buttons there for what you want. Like if you're a realtor, here's the 2 buttons, buy and sell. Are you here to buy a house or sell a house? And then they click the buy button, and then it advances to the next video. And it says, oh, that's awesome. You know, congratulations on, you know, looking for a new home. Let me ask you another question. And it's doing exactly what a salesperson would do sitting across the desk from you. It's doing their job. All you have to do is blueprint out what are the right questions to create the languaging. And the languaging is being created now on the fly in the video. So it's a way for you to have one page, one website, and do this all with one video. And that way, at the end of the video, you can have the click button to go to the landing page, and the landing page will be the right landing page for that person. It will have their language, their concerns, address their objections, you know, because not everyone has the same objections. So if you know the objections of the particular avatar, that's the only thing that's important to them. You can leave the rest out. Nobody likes to waste time.
So does the interactive sales attendant software, does it help you develop the 2 routes and then it develops the videos, or do you have to do all the content separately?
You have to do the content. It's like Kartra. It's only a delivery system. So you still have to map it out. You have to create the videos. All you have to do is create YouTube videos. You can use Zoom to create your videos. You can upload them to YouTube. And then this is a framework where you just kind of draw the picture out. You say, okay, this video has 2 options. Here's the video for this option. Here's the video for that option. Here's when they go to that option. Here's the next 2 question buttons. Here's the next 2 videos for that. And it could be 2, 3, 4 videos. It could be in the questions part. You might have 2, 3, 4 options.
You know, that's right up our alley, John and Allie. I mean, I love that. I love communicating with people and loving them. And I could change gears. You know, I never swear when there's a baby in the room.
Yep. That's exactly what we're talking about. It's like, that's what a really good salesperson will do. And guess what a really good salesperson gets? They get good results. So back to the whole modeling, if you want to get good sales results, you model someone that's good at sales. Look at what they're doing. Look at how they're doing it. And now your only challenge is replicating that online so you can automate the process. So with a video tool like that, that's the perfect tool to be able to do that. So you don't have to create 5,000 pages on your website. You can have one web page or one home page rather that starts asking the questions, starts getting them to where they want to go. And then when you know enough information, then you send them to that landing page. Boom, game over. You've just replicated yourself being a stellar salesperson.
Thank you.
Cool. So I had a question about what is the difference between an affiliate of your ACT program and a reseller of your ACT program?
They are pretty much one and the same.
Okay.
That is synonymous. Anybody that is a reseller, well, actually, no, Callie, let me rephrase that. Generically, they mean the same. In my case, I actually have a reseller program, and I apologize for not recognizing that in the real meaning of your question. Our reseller program is different than our affiliate program. We have a reseller program for our commercial services, where somebody like yourself that is running an agency, you could use us as the production for your sales. Like, let's say you wanted to buy our SEO services as a reseller. I would sell you the services as a white label service at a wholesale level that you present it as your own service to your customer, and you mark it up. Like you say, hey guys, I supply SEO services. Here's my price, and let's say it's $1,000 a month, and I can do this for you. You make a sale, you contact me through the reseller program. I say, great, you know, here's the service. I provide it to you for like half of that. So you're buying it from me for $500. I'm doing all the work. Your customer's getting the $1,000 service. You're the middleman. So you're buying it and reselling it. That is a different thing than an affiliate. An affiliate is you're just passing them over to me, and I'm giving you an affiliate commission. So it's a different type of a middleman. There's 2 types of middlemen, and really, actually, I guess it's not really a middleman. The reseller thing, you are the front man, and I'm the back man. They don't know about me. They just know it's your business. I've just become a vendor for you. So reseller, I become a vendor. You are the company. You have your customer. I'm supplying you a service you're reselling. In the affiliate world, you are promoting my products. You're sending your customers directly to me to make the purchase, and then I give you an affiliate commission. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I will be scheduling an appointment with you to get that handled.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, cool. Great. Thank you.
So, yeah, so in some cases, though, you know, somebody might say, you know, what's the difference between, you know, a reseller? Because an affiliate really is a reseller of services. It's just done in a different way. It's a matter of whether you're selling the service direct to your consumer, or you're taking your consumer and you're sending them to purchase it from the vendor and making a commission. So two different ways. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another thing. If you want to go into business selling internet services, again, you don't have to be the one that does the services. If you have good vendors, there are businesses all over this country that do exactly that. They sell other people's services as their own. It's a very common practice. You might not know that, but it's a very common practice. So lots of ways to do business out there, guys. Lots of stuff to sell. If you look at the economy that we're in, it is a multi-trillion-dollar economy. All you have to do is just figure out, how do I be a little fractional middleman in there? You can make all you need out of that. It's like there's opportunity all around us. We are surrounded with it. It's just a matter of identifying it and figuring out how you're going to tap into it. It's a plan. It's a strategy. That's what business is all about. Strategy. It's like warfare. Don't go to war without a strategy. The outcome will not be good. All right, guys, we have.
Hey, John, I've got a quick question for you. I see that that we're using Zoom, and I know you use Zoom for pretty much all your calls and stuff, but I know that Kartra is kind of attached to Webinar Jam.
Correct.
And you had mentioned you could, make YouTube videos using Zoom. I know that you could do that also with Webinar Jam. Which one of these do you recommend for us to use? And also, I have a client that, they currently use Zoom, but I'd like to move them over to Webinar Jam because of the, the feature set that's on it, and also we get a better affiliate. There's a better affiliate program with Kartra. So which one would you recommend in practice?
Regardless of which one you go with for the video conferencing, Kartra, I believe, is the right solution, for all the rest of it. But I use Zoom. I tried the other one when it first came out. And what was it called again? I apologize.
Webinar Jam.
Webinar Jam, that's right. I tried it when it first came out, and I didn't like it at all because it was complicated. It was using Google Hangouts, and you had to connect all these dots. And I don't know, they might be a lot better at it now, which I'm sure they are. But I use Zoom because I'm really comfortable with it. It's inexpensive. And you can use Kartra, like if you're going to do webinars, I use Kartra. I use the Kartra landing pages to do all my registration for all my webinars. And then I just do the delivery of the webinar with Zoom. But everything is handled in Kartra outside of Zoom, outside of the delivery of the conference itself. Everything's done in Kartra. You're correct in the fact that if you sell them Webinar Jam, then you get another commission from it, where the Zoom commissions or gift cards and stuff, it's not really that great. A lot of people like the cash better. But anyway, like I said, I'm not really familiar with the platform currently for Webinar Jam and how it's working nowadays. I just know when I first got into it, I tried it, and it was like, oh my God, I'm going back to GoToWebinar. Now, GoToWebinar has become very expensive, which pushed me to Zoom, which is where I am currently. I'm using the Zoom. This is just regular Zoom here, but when I do webinars like I'm going to do tomorrow, I'll use the Zoom webinar feature, which it won't show all of the people's icons on the screen. It's more for training. But I know the feature set in Webinar Jam, and they also have the Ever Webinar, I think, or Evergreen Webinar Systems. I think that's an upgrade of Webinar Jam. In that, I know it has some phenomenal marketing features. Like you can do evergreen webinars where you record the webinar one time, and there's a whole system of having people enroll in that, sign up, get the webinar delivered, the whole thing. You can automate the process. But I have found, I know what they do. I know the process that they're replicating, and I've just been able to do it with Kartra itself.
Yeah, this particular client that I want to recommend Webinar Jam to, they do events. That's their main source of income. And due to this coronavirus outbreak, they, it pretty much stopped them dead in their tracks. They can't do anything now.
Yeah.
So, so I'm all like, well, now's the time to move online, sir.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had another opportunity last Thursday. I was speaking at the Long Beach Convention Center at a big pool association. And I was like the first speaker of the day, and I'm up there and I had a good audience. The room was pretty well full. And right toward the end of my speech, I noticed, there was people coming in the back, like security and stuff. And I'm like, oh man, what's going on? And as soon as I wrapped up, they closed the convention center. They basically evacuated the whole Long Beach Convention Center. And I was like blown away. I'm like, holy crap.
Wow.
And on the way out, I was talking to the people that put the conference on, the ones that invited me to speak. And they were shocked. They were like, oh my God, we've got vendors from all over the country here. This is a big trade show. And they're like, this is the first day, the first hour, and it's over. I mean, that's devastating. That was a lot of, they spent 6 months putting that show on, and who knows how much money they stand to lose. And the guy pulled me aside and he says, hey, he goes, you can do this online, can't you? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And he said, all the people here at this show, they really need what you offer. And I would love for us to do something like that in lieu of this going sour, because I was supposed to speak over 2 days multiple times to get the whole message out to the whole group, because it was such a big group. So
yeah, that's a really great idea, John,
Yeah.
is to, contact every single one of them and say, hey guys, instead of, I know that you guys were all missing out on our conference, but we could still have one today.
Yeah.
Here's the link. Join me at 3:00. That's really great. And that's what I want to propose to our client, that they can continue to do their business online for the time being. They don't have to do it all the time like this, but it's really helpful if they can. And that's why I was saying, I don't really have that much experience with Webinar Jam or Zoom for that matter, John. So I don't really know which one is the one to use for something that might require 100 attendants, because you know how it is. Like,
Yeah.
you get 100 people on video, it's going to freaking clog up some systems.
Well, the thing with the webinars is you're not putting 100 people on video, you're having 100 participants watch, which is a totally different game. And when I use the Zoom webinar, it is just that. It's like we're not all on the screen here during the webinar. It's just me on the screen and whatever I'm sharing off my desktop. So it doesn't create that. Yeah, go ahead, Ellie.
Hey, John, I'm going to bring up a specific thing I do. So Landmark, I participate with Landmark, and we actually all it's funny, Dan, that you're saying this, because we all got a call yesterday saying all their courses are suspended, and they are 100%, courses in person. And so I actually Dan brings up a great topic I was going to ask about. What I wanted to be able to recommend to them how to do it online, because they're willing to, but they don't know how to go about it. And so they have a vast resources, I'm sure, but yeah. I'm friends with the center manager, and I could, just get the message to him directly to kind of cut it down for him.
Yeah.
You recommend, but their classes are anywhere between 30 people and 400 people.
Sure. Well, Zoom is what you get for, I think it's $40 a month with the Zoom webinar. You can have up to 100 people live on the webinar. So they also have up to, I think it's up to 500. It's a higher level service. You just have to pay a little bit more. If you're going to do like large, massive webinars, you might want to look into GoToWebinar. I think they're a little more robust. They've got 1,000 people, I think, is their beginning one. And Jeff says $14.99 for 100. That's the normal Zoom. That's not the Zoom webinar. The Zoom webinar is 40 a month for 100. But if you're going to do like small groups, like there would be a lot of little icons on the screen here with 100. Like right now we've got 7, and the screen's full with 7. So, but if you're doing the webinar and you're going to do a lot, you want to try and make it scalable, you might want to go up to the GoToWebinar. They're considerably more expensive, but it's a much higher level thing. If you're going to do like 1,000 people, you might want to consider that.
That's the GoToWebinar.
Yeah, and the Webinar Jam, like I said, I'm really not up to speed on it right now. I haven't looked at it in a long time. You might look at that and just see what they offer and test it out. But before you make the recommendation, do your research, sign up for the affiliate offers on all of them, and then go to them and present, here's your options, because everybody likes to shop. So why not just allow them to shop with all of your affiliate links? That way, no matter which one they go to, you still get paid, and you're.
What was Kartra's video option that somebody was talking about earlier?
Yeah, that one's Webinar Jam.
Webinar Jam.
Yeah,
Okay.
Webinar Jam is owned by the same people that own Kartra. It's the digital, I think it's called Digital Genesis is the company, and they have Kartra, they've got Evergreen Webinar and Webinar Jam.
Boy, they're rich.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good, Woody. And you know what? Talking about affiliate programs, this is something I've recommended to several people in Craig's group specifically that didn't really have something viable they could make a bunch of money with right out of the gate. I said, look, here's something that you can do to make really good money really quickly. Kartra is something that every business needs. Every business needs an online presence, and Kartra is a perfect delivery system for it. The beginning.
You're thinking the level 1 of that, the $89 a month.
Yeah.
$100 a month.
Yeah. So the beginning level, let's just round it up and say it's $100. The beginning level, they pay 40% recurring commission. So if you referred somebody to that, you're basically going to make about $40 a month. So what you're doing is you're bringing a solution to a massive amount of business owners for $100 a month, which is a good deal for everything that's offered there. There's nothing else I know on the market like it that gives you that kind of value and that kind of functionality. So just that business model alone is introducing business owners to a solution they weren't aware of that solves a number of problems for them and gives them massive opportunities to move their business online. How many people could you give that to? Thinking about everyone that you gave it to adds $40 a month to your income. Could you give it to 10 people? That's $400 a month extra in your bank account. Could you give it to 100 people? That would be $4,000 a month in your bank account. Or could you give it to 1,000 people? And what's that put in your bank account? Let's do the math, add another 0. That's $40,000 a month. I think the majority of us could work pretty well in our daily life with $40,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready, Lord.
So there's a pretty good solution right there for all the income you'll ever need with one product. Find the people that need it, be a matchmaker, be the middleman, make the money in the middle. So cool stuff. And there, when you do that, when you become the middleman, here's what happens by default. When you bring them something good, it's like you give them a cookie. What do they want? They want the milk. What else do you have? Oh, by the way, you know, I've got this for you too. Now it's not $40 a month. Now it's 60, 80, 100, whatever it is. You've done a service for someone and they like you because of it. We buy from people that we like. So it's a perpetual snowball. Find stuff that's good for people and connect them and make the money in the middle, man. So no shortage of opportunity out there, even right now. Even as bad as it looks out there. So it's sunny inside my house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you don't have to wear a mask in your own house, right, John?
That's right. I don't have to wear anything, to tell you the truth.
I hear that.
I can do whatever I want.
That's why everybody has their pictures swiped, so because they're in their underwear.
Yeah.
Kelly, we could have been seeing you the whole time.
Well, John,
I don't want to distract John, you know, when he's talking. So that's why I do it. And Chris is right here too.
I really want to thank you, John, and everyone else on the call for hanging tough in a challenging time in our lives. So it's a great opportunity to enjoy your joy. And
That's it.
Wonderful.
We're really distracting now with the puppies.
Oh, that's awesome.
Love.
Love, love.
All
So
right,
thank
guys.
you so much. And we'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific time.
It is 10 to 4 Pacific. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, because usually it's 2 o'clock here.
Yeah.
And when you put 2 Pacific, I didn't read the Pacific. So I need to start really looking at the details.
Yeah, I always
So-
give all my times in Pacific.
Okay.
But yeah, I gotta get ready for tomorrow and put something really stellar together for you guys.
Awesome. We're looking forward to it.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much. Thank you. See you tomorrow, you guys. Callie, it's good to see you. Mwah.
Good to see you too. Mwah.
John.
Bye.
Bye bye.